Hey everybody, we are live for another Surviving Quarantine by Spreading Life. And I'm so excited because today I have Madison with me and I got to meet you at a conference. And then we
Yeah.
went into a session together a few weeks ago and
Mhm.
then we just connected back again. And I just love your heart and I love how much you care for people. And then we're both in the wellness space. And just the work that you're doing and how I say you like that are people that are like-minded, but I love when they're like-hearted and you are so
Mhm.
like-hearted. And that's one of the things that I absolutely love about you. And I'm excited for people to get to hear about your insights and your knowledge and your background. So before we get started, I do want to encourage people to continue to like, subscribe, and share. And also, if you're on, let us know who's listening, and then also let us know where you're coming from too. That'd be good comments for us to pop up. But then also, if you hear anything during this time, you're like, oh, I got to ask this question, ask it. That's why we're here. So today we're going to be talking about opportunities and the obstacles. And I'm excited about this. And to get started, Madison, if you'll just do a brief introduction about yourself.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited. I work at Highland. We are an insurance consultant. We do employee benefits and property casualty, but I love my job because I get to head up the health and well-being practice. So we get to come alongside of employers and help them develop and implement wellness strategies for their employees and help them focus on their people. So I've been at Highland for over 5 years, and I've been in the industry about 10 years.
I love it. Awesome. So let's get started with opportunities and the obstacles. So right now, like we're in the wellness space, and a lot of people think wellness space is where we got to be positive, we got to be overly excited 24/7. And like right now, a lot of us can be seeing things as obstacles. So what are some things that we can do where we can not, and it's that difference, but it's like optimism and realism and how they can mesh together because I believe that you can have both. So speak on that for a second.
Yeah, I agree. It's kind of that duality of being optimistic, yet also not being naive to the fact that we are in a pandemic. We've never gone through this before. A lot of us are struggling. We all have different struggles, and it's going to look different for all of us. We have different obstacles we're facing. But what I think is really unique about this opportunity is that because our circumstances are so unique, it creates also really unique opportunities. Even the definition of the word opportunity, this sounds kind of silly, I looked it up, but it's a set of circumstances that makes it possible to do something. And we just have there's so many possibilities that we have right now, in the problems all around us if we just make a slight perspective shift.
I love that. And one of my favorite things I think I've done thus far is before this COVID-19, actually, it's actually when it had hit, I was in a conversation with leadership of a healthcare system, and we were talking about they're going through a transition, but then also COVID, and they had one of the first cases. And their mindset, but also their word shift that also happened with it, where it was instead of obstacles that they saw, they then called it opportunities, and saying that instead of having the obstacles, that this was an opportunity for people to reach out for them. It was an opportunity for them to take charge. And I know in the brain aspect of it is that obstacles create cortisol or create what shuts off the learning centers of your brain. So literally it stresses you out. So
Mhm.
obstacles create stress, opportunities create creativity. And so what are some ways that people can focus in on the opportunities to spark that creativity now more than ever?
Focus on opportunities. Yeah, I think it's just kind of taking some time to reflect on what obstacles are in front of you right now. And I think a lot of times we don't recognize them because we don't carve out time to have that reflection opportunity. So I think it is sitting down and looking at, okay, what are some struggles I have right now, either in your personal life or in at your job, and what are some ways that we could maybe shift a little bit, and what's possible because our circumstances are so different right now. It's really a huge time for innovation.
Mhm.
It's time, people, what I love too is people have kind of lower expectations for things because, we're making videos or online more. Al Rooker's, doing the weather from his living room. Like we don't expect perfectionism anymore. We can be more creative, and there's just more opportunity to try things and fail. And um, there's more grace for that, which is cool, and it just allows us to try new things. And so it's really unique time to kind of sit down and say, what's possible? How can we leverage this crazy time to try new things and help people in different ways?
Mhm. And I love the part that you're talking about. There's a twofold. There's this family called the Holderness family, and it was
Mm-hmm.
I love them. And they were
Mm-hmm.
talking about their latest song is called The Quarantine Queen. If you've not seen the Holderness family, just go watch it, especially. And it and today their song was about like you're supposed to be like a corporate like person, woman, and you're going in and you're doing everything. And now you're changing and doing the laundry, like just the shift. And one thing that she said is lower your expectations because
Mm-hmm.
and I love that because for me, I am a recovering perfectionist that fails daily. And I feel like a lot of
Mm-hmm.
type A personalities that are in the corporate or in some of these aspects that we are like, let's take it on. We're going to beat it and we're going to fix it. But reality is, we actually probably need to give ourselves grace and lower. And it sounds so counterintuitive for somebody that's been beat in wellness. And wellness is like, hit these goals, hit these marks. So, speak a
Mm-hmm.
little bit more about lowering your expectation with a sense of grace and reality.
Yes, I think that is so important. And what I keep telling myself every day is I'm doing the best that I can, and that's good enough. And we're never going to, in this state that we're in, we do have to lower our expectations because we're not going to be able to do our job 100% and be a parent 100%. And we're always kind of going to be juggling, and balance is a myth, right? We've heard that, we're
Mhm.
never going to completely balance it all out. Um, but when you, I think, do lower your expectations, it takes the stress and the anxiety off of trying to do it all perfectly. And I think too, it invites people in to see another side of you, to see that, you don't have it all together either. And then there's an opportunity to kind of create that connection. Yeah, we're all kind of failing and struggling in different ways. And I think this is a huge opportunity right now to connect with our teammates in those ways. And also, thinking about employers, that's how we think about employers and employees. And it's just a time to connect with them, and to we're all on the same page and we're all doing our best, and we're all have the same information and we're figuring it out day by day. And it's really an opportunity to build trust, to be really transparent that we don't have all the answers, that we're all trying to balance work and home. And I think that there's just something really beautiful about that this time presents as an opportunity.
I love that. And I think, again, one thing that I think that is cool in this is the opportunity to see that it's work and life and play, like even put
Mm-hmm.
in and play. Because a lot of times we see a lot of things that are versus each other. So work versus life. And I think in this opportunity, it's kind of like, whoop, we're together. And you don't get any balance because one, there never was, like we talked earlier, there was no, it's a myth of a balance. And somebody said the other day, and I thought it was really cool that it was talking about you would never run a car at red line. Like, so why do you believe that we should run a at red line all the time at work or at home? So where's our where's our proper and most effective and efficient line in? And speaking of car, like you don't want to burn it up because if you did, you'd burn out and you would
Mm-hmm.
engine. So what is an opportunity during this time that people can now see that work and life are synergistic, so they come together without having this burnout?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think that it's an awesome time to work on boundaries. right? The B word. We've kind of been forced to figure out what those boundaries are. Am I going to work all night? Sometimes I do need to do that to catch up because I played with my kids for a few hours during the day. But I think it's really a time to practice boundaries for yourself and with your family, um, and again, that's an opportunity to work on that. And when we all get back to our new normal, I think that's one of the things that we can get better at is finding that balance between the boundaries of work and our personal life, which can be balanced in a way, if we can find a way to draw those proper lines.
I agree, because that's what somebody said. When did it become normal that we were overworked, overstressed, missing time with our family, and doing these things that we never had? So that's the next thing I want to talk about is the opportunity for us to regauge and recenter when it comes to the future and what we have right now. Like, what do we want to stick, like,
Hmm.
going forward? Because what we thought was good was just normalcy. It's just what
Hmm.
we're accustomed to. And now that we have like this, it's almost like a fresh plate, fresh start. How do we make sure that it sticks going forward?
Yeah, this is a perfect time to reflect on what's working and what's not. And, just one example practically, I have found that I'm less tired at night because I've been getting more sleep and without my commute time, and I've had more patience with my kids at night. And that's something personally I want that to stick more. I want that to stick going forward. And so I'm thinking, okay, I've identified this as an energy issue. And what can I alter when we go back to make sure that I'm getting that extra hour of sleep, to make sure that I am more patient and have more energy for my kids when they need it. And I think that it's a lot of reflection time that we probably didn't have before because we're running around, and there's just an opportunity to really look back and even make a list of things. That's what I really did, is I made a list of what my opportunities have been, what my struggles have been, how to look at them as opportunities, and how the things that I have really come to love about this season, that have helped our family or helped me in my job. And I want to move some things around and prioritize them so that they're a part of my new normal.
I love that you brought up the word seasons too, because I see things as in seasons of life. And this is, in essence, a season. I always talk about seasons of change that
Hmm.
just like in life, or just like the actual seasons, they change. And there's some expectations, but there is some, like I'm in the South and it's cold today. It was 80 the other day. Like, you never know also within these seasons. But seeing it as a season, because this too shall pass. In the good
Hmm.
times, and there's this quote that says, "In the good times, remember this too shall pass. In the bad times, remember this too shall pass. Remember, in all times, this too shall pass."
Hmm.
So, how can we see this as, again, going back to the opportunity, but this too shall pass, and finding ways that we can make sure that we're better on the outskirts of it. So once it has passed and once we're in a new season, how can we learn and grow to another level?
Yeah, I would say ask yourself the question, because I've been doing this, when this is over and you look back on this time, what do you want to be proud of?
Ooh,
What do you want to look back and say, wow, that was crazy, but I'm really proud that I handled this way, whether it's, how you respond to things, and, maybe your children are learning from that at that time, or I really, was honest with my team about how I was struggling, and I was just vulnerable, and I'm proud that I was able to just let my guard down and be real. That's the question that I would ask. That's what I've been asking myself, and that has been helpful for me to kind of put it in perspective.
I love that. And I'll say I did that with my team. We have our team meeting last night, And it was really cool in that aspect too, because speaking, I guess this is going back to that expectation talk that we had, and that my expectation that I was not giving enough or I wasn't, because like I can't fix the issues and I want to, and I'm a fixer at time. And it was so cool to see that every one of them had statements of gratitude and thankfulness, and that they were how they were feeling throughout this time. And it was great for me because I had an expectation that I was not meeting the standard, or I was not because our numbers are not hitting like we want. So there's different things, like nobody's numbers are really hitting like they want.
Mm-hmm.
Like the people's lives that we want to impact and stuff. And those things, it irks me at times, but then it's like, okay, they understand. And it's the expectation. So as a leader, and also we define leader no matter if you are a CEO, if you are a manager, if you are a parent, if you have people that are around you that follow you and look up to you, you're a leader. So in this space, how can you help make sure that you are a good leader? And again, we can bring it back to the opportunities, seeing them, but then also what are some things that people should be doing now as leaders?
I think that's a great question. I guess the word that comes to my mind is, and maybe some people think this is overused, but the term servant leader. We lead by. I think good leaders are always, make you feel like you're on their same level
Mhm.
and are working alongside you. They don't have all the answers. They understand their weaknesses and they aren't threatened by your strengths. That's something that I personally have to work on because sometimes, that butts up against you and you're like, oh, I should have all the answers and I should, I need to lead this team. And it's like, no, we each have all of our own strengths. They're not, their strengths aren't saying anything bad about your weaknesses. We're just all here to make each other stronger. And so I think the best thing that leaders can do right now is be okay with not having all the answers.
Mhm.
Be okay with, just walking alongside each other and asking and listening really well. Because I think what I've been understanding, listening day and age is such a to use eye contact, to not be thinking about what you're going to say next, like really listening to people talk, especially, everything's virtual now. We're experts at multitasking, right? And so those are the things that I would say. You don't have all the answers, and really listen to your people and show them that you care because we're all
Mhm.
in this together at the same pace.
Yes, listening is so important. And the thing that you said about multitasking is that somebody said it the other day, is that you can multitask, but you can't multi-focus. And the importance on making sure that whenever we are in a space to listen, we have to focus on that one person or that one thought. And instead of, you can't have your own thoughts and go back and forth. So I love that point that you're talking about, the importance of leadership. And it's listening. It really is. And again, it's servant leadership. Um,
Mhm.
I do want to talk about one. I told you that I would ask you about this. My child, I love kids. Somebody told me that, and I've stolen it and said it ever since. Quinn actually said this. He was on the show, and he said, "I want to have the innocence of an 8-year-old, but the I don't give a damn of an 88-year-old."
I
Uh,
like that.
and that's where, like, I was like, yes. I was like, that's where I want to be. And the innocence, my child today, we were playing Uno before this, and my child, she pulled out, or she got the 4 plus, and in Uno, like whenever you get the 4 plus card, that means that you have to draw 4 cards. And something that she said caught me off guard. She goes, "Ooh, this means I get to be lucky." And I'm like, "What? You just got 4 cards. You could lose." But she said, "Ooh, this is something that makes me lucky, and that I could get more. Like it's a chance for her to get better and get better cards." So, what is a chance in this time that may seem as an obstacle at first? What what is a chance that people could see, or how can they help find that lucky and her luckiness for the future.
Yeah, finding the opportunities, seeing that as a good thing. I think I'm going to look at it personally and then professionally. Personally, I think you could look at this time as such a sweet, unique time to get to know your people a little better, your kids or your spouse, whomever you're living with. It's just a unique time, and there's so much opportunity to lean into those relationships and build them in a unique way that we're all crammed in the same house. And if some of you, like me, I mean, we've all been quarantined for a while, there's probably some issues that have come up. Lean into the issues, have a tough conversation, work on
Mhm.
those relationships, because this could be a time where you could, really turn a corner in your relationship, and it could be better on the other side of this quarantine because you chose to do that and lean in to a tough conversation. And then I would say professionally at work, just work on your team dynamic. This is a time to really kind of in that same vein, build relationships with your teammates and ask how they're doing and check on them and just build that connection and camaraderie again in a way that is not going to be possible. It's not going to be the same set of circumstances when we go back to work. So there's just such an opportunity to build relationships.
Mhm.
And I love that about this time. And I think it's just the light that could shine into this dark time.
Oh, yes, and that's so true. It's this and I like that. I think that's a great point to end on too. If anybody has any comments or questions, feel free to put them in because we will answer them and we are at our time. But we would love to answer them if you have them. But the being the light, and that's the thing that I hope, and that's the reason why even why we do this is that spreading life. It's about bringing light, bringing hope, and bringing positivity to people in a time that just seems sometimes just way too dang dark. And so be that. In what way can you be that? So, any final thoughts that you have?
I would just say, I mean, looking for opportunities doesn't mean that you're crushing it every day and you don't have bad days. I mean, I've had really bad days. We were just talking about that. It's a rough day today, and that's okay. But I think just in those small moments where you can make that perspective shift and see, wow, this stinks. This is an obstacle, but there's also some sweet opportunity here, and I can turn it around and see the good. I think that small shift can really make all the difference.
I agree, and actually, there's a study on it called the Nun Study that looked at basically nuns before they came into the convent at 22 and what they wrote at age 22 and how it affected them years later and their longevity. And we know that for people that can have that shift of gratitude and
Mhm.
that shift of giving more of your feelings and actually naming and having that space of, in essence, it is going back to thankfulness and gratitude, that it will increase your life more than it was of their diet and their exercise, which is something that's so like crazy for us because it's like, oh, we're wellness. We have backgrounds in health science. And it's like, you need to make sure you eat right and you sleep right and you do, which you do, but gratitude and mindset started all off.
Isn't that amazing? I know. And I think sometimes people are like, oh, yeah, gratitude. I know. Like, no, gratitude is so powerful. It changes your mind. And if you can change how you think, you change how you talk and how you act and how you change your whole life when
Mhm.
you really can control your thoughts better. So, yeah, it's so powerful.
I love.
Gratitude. You're right.
Well, I appreciate everybody hopping on. And I appreciate you, Madison. Thank you again. This was a great
It was
conversation.
fun.
I
Yeah.
love it. And I will be back tomorrow. I will have Mark on, and we are going to be talking about living well in small places. If anybody's listening to this, you know that I live in North Georgia, and I have land and a farm, and I have a lot of space. Where he lives in a apartment in small areas, and I don't know how I could do it. So he's going to talk about how you should do it because I can't give you any advice. Um, but hope to see you there tomorrow. Have an awesome and blessed day, y'all.
Bye bye.